Hey there. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Hey you. Hey there. Okay, enough of that. I'm just trying to be funny. That's all. Never works, but I don't know. Whatever. First I want to say I am sorry. I haven't made a video in a few days because I've been pretty busy with schoolwork and stuff, and it's been very, very stressful, and just trying to do well, or do well enough to get this dang piece of paper that says I know how to do stuff. But, yeah. Okay. First thing I want to mention, actually, not really the first thing. I've already mentioned a few things. I don't know. Who's counting? Who gives a shit? But anyways, I noticed in one of my last video, it kind of cut off a little bit early, and there was some very important stuff that I wanted to, say in the last little portion. How rude of YouTube to cut me off, dicks. But anyways, that's a whole nother thing. But I want to finish up here on, we discussed, and I've been discussing order of execution. That is a very important thing because you just need to know that's top to bottom, and in the beginning that'll trip you up the most. But I think I've got that pretty solid, so we'll move on, or actually pick up where I left off, which was user input. It's a pretty neat thing, I think so. I remember the first time that I did it, I thought I was hot shit, so you probably will too. Basically, I think I actually demonstrated a little bit, but as you know, it's going to go down as the program executes, and then it's going to reach this right here, which is the, actually this is a little too much, ignore that for now. We call this method called next integer on an object called user input. It's a lot of terminology that I just threw at you, but don't worry about it. Just know that all this right here does, it says, hey, we need to wait and let the user enter in something. And that something, to be specific, is an integer. So what we'll do is go ahead and run it. Everything runs just like before, but notice that the program is actually still running down here. It doesn't say build successful and end because it's waiting for a input. Now if we click down here inside what's known as the console, that is happily built in for us. Thank you to NetBeans for that. And look at it blinking, and it's waiting for an integer. So we'll enter in, say, 10. And then it's actually waiting for me to press enter, because that's the only way that's going to know that I'm done entering a number or whatever it's waiting for me to enter. So you press enter when you're done, and that's also something that's built in for us, thankfully. So I press enter, and then what do you know, it reaches the end of the program, and then, we get a build successful, and the program is running for 36 seconds because I was waiting a long time to enter in that number. So, there you go. Just show you one more time. The program runs. It executes down till we get to this line of code that says, hey, wait for a input. We enter in our input. But boom. Neat, huh? I know you'll love it. I know you'll love it. Okay. Let's move on. Let's do... it's not really useful to take in user input if we can't really do anything with it. So let's use the user input and use it in our output, because that's really right there. That is basically all programming is at the end of the day. It's that concept of user input and output. If you can't have that, or if you don't have that, then you don't really have much of a program. So let's go on ahead and say, well, we're going to take in a number, and we're going to print that number back out. Now, we can't just magically take in a number and then print it back out magically without storing it somewhere. And since this is an integer, it's only going to be appropriate that we store it in an integer. So all we have to do is type an integer, we'll call it input, and set it equal to that line of code that says, hey, we need an input. So now what's going to happen is it's going to go down the line of code. It's going to reach this, says, oh, we want to declare an integer named input, and then it'll initialize it after this right here does its thing, which is it takes in and waits for the integer. That integer is then returned and then set equal to this. Or you just know that if you do this, it's going to wait for the integer. The integer is going to be stored in input. Now I said return, but don't really worry too much about what that means. It'll make more sense later on. But just know that if we set this method to be, or thing to be called right here, after the equal sign for integer input, integer input, then I can't talk, and I'm sorry. I am very tired. Shut the fuck up. Stop complaining. Sorry, that was a little bit rude. I didn't mean that. Anyways, so input, it gets user input dot next integer returns the integer, which then gets stored into the variable input. So now we can do something with what the user entered. So system.out.println, and we'll say the user entered input. Check it out. So now we run it. It waits. We enter in the number. Boom, the user entered 10. How neat. How neat. How neat is that? And again, I just want to say I'm sorry for my talking is all over the place. I'm very tired. It's been a long week. I had a test last week. I'm very stressed. I just want to do well, but I also want to help you all with this stuff. Or if you just, I don't know. But yeah. Let's do something with this input. Let's say we want to add 5 to it and print that out. So we can do system.out.println and add 5 to the input number. Concatenate the input value. And then, just for clarity, I'm going to wrap these up in parentheses, plus 5. See what I did there? We're going to add 5 to the number. It's going to be the string that gets printed out. Then we're going to concatenate the input plus the value of 5. So what do you know? 10. Add 5 to the input number is 15. Neat? 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 Pretty cool? So there we are, we're taking an input and we're doing something with that input, we're adding 5 to it. And that is basically all I wanted to cover in this video. And my mind's kind of all over the place, and I promise next time I'll have a little bit better organized video. The main point of this video was just to actually say what I really needed to say in the last video, but as you know, I got a little cut off there. But the main idea here is that, you can take in user input, and you need to know that it waits for it, because, what would be the point if it didn't? And you can do things like set it equal to the input variable. This can be a little bit weird, because this, it declares this variable, but then it goes, well, we need to set it equal to this. Well, but all of this is a method call, which then returns the integer, which comes from the user input. So yeah. That's how you do that, and that's really how it all worked for types. I mean, you could do it with a string, which we'll probably do at some point, and you'll see how it's really all the same. It's just a lot of programming is all the same, but different. It's just kind of cool that way, actually. It makes it really easy to do new things. But yeah, that's that, and I want to thank you for watching, and hope you have a great day.